Don't worry, I think I know what this is about. Can you hear me now? I've been going on, and my fucking mic's been off, which is exactly the kind of thing that happens when you've been awake for 5 minutes and you have to jump into a stream. Lovely stuff. Good call. The rake, you were all on it. Thank you. I didn't even realise because I'm fucking stupid. Anyway, hello. Welcome to Turn15 channel. Mexico City Grand Prix today. Buenos dias, everybody. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything substantial. What I was just waffling on about, it was absolutely nothing. I hope you all can hear me now. Yep. Sounds like the stream's actually working okay. Welcome. Round 20 of the F1 Championship. Mexico City, Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. Should be a good race today. In fact, it's a very strange grid, and it's a very strange grid today because Carlos Sainz is on pole for the first time that I can remember this season. I don't think he's had another pole this season yet. Very mixed up sort of stuff. So we'll go through it. Actually, that's a good way to get into this, isn't it? My brain's still trying to catch up with everything here. Okay, so Carlos Sainz on pole, Verstappen second, so Red Bull's back to being quick. Well, at least his is. Norris third, Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton is your top six, then K-Mag, Gasly, Albon and Hulk. Great showing by Albon, great showing by Gasly, who's gotten another top 10 start, so well done. Didn't mean points last time out, but we'll see what he can do this week. Tsunoda 11th, Lawson 12th, Tsunoda with a big crash actually at the end of qualifying that sort of wiped out everything else in Q2. Tsunoda, Lawson, Alonso, Stroll in 14th, Bottas 15th, Colapinto 16th, Piastri, Perez, Joe, Ocon. Now those are two big names. Well, one big name and one kind of big name that is kicking up the end of the grid here. That's the first time Piastri's missed out on Q3 qualifying this year, which means that only Max Verstappen is keeping up the streak of only Q3 appearances. In fact, his last one that he didn't make Q3, Sochi 2021. Woof. Piastri 17th as well, so ugly qualifying, ugly scenes for Piastri, ugly scenes for Perez. It's, I mean, it's another nail really in the coffin of Checo Perez, and it's going to break the heart of a lot of people here. There's a lot of Red Bull, as you see the crowd here. Grid's emptying of pit lane people, so the formation lap is about to get underway. It's a little bit heartbreaking for a lot of the people who are actually fans of Checo Perez here, but I get the feeling he's not going to be around that much longer, because he just won't fuck off with these sorts of disappointing shits. It's a real shame that. It's a real shame because I love Checo, but I mean, I tell you, he's just dragged his ass for so long now. It's almost like, mate, it might actually just be time to go. I don't know if this is Checo struggling to get his head around the Red Bull, or if he's genuinely in a decline, or, you know, maybe age has just caught up with him, but not great. Anyway, who have we got on the tyres? So Lawson on the hards, Bottas, Colapinto, Perez, Joe and O'Connell on the hards, everybody else on the mediums. It's a pretty low deg track, this. They actually run very high downforce numbers here because the air is so thin around Mexico City. That is Checo absolutely they are really not struggling to get away. They're just so sluggish to get away at the end of the grid there. God, no wonder we're sitting on the grid for about 8 minutes waiting for the formation laps to finish sometimes. So, anything fun going on? F1 news related? Well, it's Fernando Alonso's 400th start. Look at that crowd. Jesus Christ. They really do pack him out here. You know what, maybe Liberty maybe Liberty did say keep Checo Perez, who knows. So previous wins, Verstappen 4 out of the last 5 Mexico City Grand Prix wins for Max Verstappen, starting second today, so another really good chance to do it. Personally, I'm hoping for my boy Carlos Sainz can actually get up. That's what she said. I mean, all Max has to do today, he doesn't have to win again. All he has to do is finish ahead of Norris. I think if he finishes ahead of Norris today, once again, this championship's basically it's not over, you know what I mean? Like, it's not over mathematically or anything, but it's really, really getting to be a tall order now. Like I was just about to say before, 400 Grand Prix for Fernando Alonso, so that is unprecedented. Incredible. I remember back in the day when I was watching this shit, it was what's his name? Ricardo Patrese had 256 starts, I think, and that was like, wow, amazing. Here's Fernando Alonso hitting fucking 400 of the things, at least 400 appearances. It's just crazy. That is a fucking insane start. It wouldn't be 400 starts, but at some point next year it will be. Just phenomenal, honestly phenomenal. So here we go. The back of the grid is starting very, very, very slowly to pull around the peloton. Bottas, no, that was Joe, sorry, is quite literally just sitting on the track there, just waiting, like he's stuck in traffic. Fucking insane. So what else very quickly for the news? Well, we'll get into all of this. Little pointers, what I've written. If the race turns out to be a total dud. Hopefully it won't be. Hopefully I'll just be talking about the race the whole time. We'll come back to any sort of news next week. Okay, so lights 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're out. Here we go. Decent start by Carlos Sainz. Decent start by Max Verstappen. I think he's got to jump him. Oh, he's got the inside line too. Fuck. Damn it. Lando Norris is going with him, using the drag, trying to stay up there with Max Verstappen. Oh, big crash in the back. That's looks like Lawson. No, it's Yuki Tsunoda rather. It looks like he's collided with a Williams. I think Max Verstappen's... No, Carlos Sainz rather has just gone across the... the track at turn 1. So he gives the position back to Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen back in the lead. Mercedes going side by side. Oh, that's very, very cheeky. Russell can't make it work. Now Haas has pulled up besides him. Well, we're going to have to go a safety car here because one of the cars... Yeah, it's Tsunoda. Shit. Another bad... Yeah, okay, so safety car. Another bad start for Tsunoda just when he and Honda are trying to make the case to actually put him in a Red Bull seat and give him a shot. Oy, not great. Yeah, so Piastri has ended up finding the wall down there after spinning off. So another year, another Red Bull car, sort of, gets it all wrong at turn 1. Checo Perez up to 13, so a great start for Checo. Albon pulled off the side as well. Albon's done. Oh, that is heartbreaking. That's a real shame. That's a real shame because a top 10 start for not Esteban Ocon. Sorry, my brain is still catching up. Top 10. So what's happened here at the back? Tsunoda, can see him there. Does he just get squeezed? Yeah, he just... So Tsunoda is right on the edge of the track and just kind of, from what I can see, just blends back a little bit over and into Alex Albon. Well, shit. Quite a bit of debris down there, isn't there? Don't red flag it, guys, please. Please. Let's just get this done. You know, these might be early starts. I mean, it's kind of like a normal person start here, but I don't really keep normal hours. Not with my job, grave robbing. So that'll be a quick cleanup, I think, getting rid of Tsunoda's car, getting rid of Albon's Williams. Although they haven't even touched Albon's Williams there. Yeah, Williams mechanics just sitting there thinking, Jesus fucking Christ, no points again. So let's see what Colapinto can do. I don't think Colapinto got the point last week, did he? But he was very close to it. A very strong cameo by Colapinto, actually, this at the end of the season. Now, Liam Lawson running 10th. after starting 12th, so we'll see what he can do. Making a very good case for that Red Bull seat. Oh, so replay the start here. Verstappen just absolutely killed his start. Absolutely killed it. And Sainz just an okay launch, but just didn't really get going from there. And just look at the draft effect that the two in front have. Sainz bailing across the grass at turn 1, skipping turn 2, going straight to turn 3. But I mean, not to reopen old wounds, but Lewis Hamilton got away with it back in the day, you know. What year was that? 2017, I think. 2017, and he just totally missed turn 1 and just weren't going. So on board with Tsunoda. So yeah, just gonna get squeezed here. Gonna get squeezed. Yeah. Not sure what Yuki Tsunoda was doing there. And he's arriving into turn 1 very, very, very quickly anyway. Okay, so Gasly is coming across the track and squeezes Albon basically into Tsunoda, so... Oh. It's a big hit. It's a bit like an oval track hit, that, you know. It's just such high speed and along the wall. Yeah. So this Alpine, you're going to see, is going to move over just a little bit of a squeeze. Yeah, just bad luck, that is. Yeah. Albon on the radio, kind of sounding like, what's the point? Oh, so just... What's that? Just looking back from the house of Kevin Magnussen at that same crash. Whoopsie. Mate, where have you been? You missed the start. Yeah, just replays of this crash again. So, while we're looking at that, it's quite a spectacular vision, isn't it? One car arriving backwards, partially airborne into turn 1. Yeah, it looks like Sainz just got squeezed out by Max Verstappen there at turn 1, so he didn't just bail and go across the grass. I think he actually got forced out there. Been a lot of talk about Max Verstappen's, how to put it, robust defending from last weekend in Austin. And the penalty that Lando Norris incurred. Oh, Checo Perez, false start. No, say it ain't so. Well, here's a replay on board with Checo Perez for the start. He did jump up 5 places, you know, helped a little bit by that crash. Oh, that's going to be very close if that's a false start. So I'm not sure about that. I mean, maybe it was a false start, but it just looked like he aced the start, to be honest. Either way, where are we? Lap 4, Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, Magnussen, Hulk, Gasly and Lawson is your top 10. There we go. Stroll, Alonso, Checo, Colapinto, Bottas, Joe, Piastri, Ocon. So Piastri's still with a lot of work to do. Then Albon and Tsunoda are DNFing today. Checo radio. False start on the radio control messages. Nope, it was a great start. It did look like a great start. I don't think it looked like a false start. Jeez, we're talking like hundredths of a second, maybe. Hundreds, if it was a false start. I don't know, like usually jump starts, you could really, they're very obvious. Unless they mean he just wasn't really in his grid box, but it looked alright for that too. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Stewards are in my bad books after last week. We had a great race going on and then they had to get involved and just be fucking retarded about it. Yeah, anyway, a bit of a wash up from that actually. Drivers not really happy with the rules as they're written, because the rules as they're written mean that Verstappen can, whoop, hello, Verstappen can, as he did in Austin, just basically dive down the inside. As long as he's ahead at the apex of a corner, he can not make a corner and force any car that's trying to pass him out wide. And then basically tough shit, which is a very Schumacher-esque way of defending. Yes, hello. You happy there, mate? What's that? You're here to hear Yuki Tsunoda. Or you're here to see Yuki Tsunoda, mate. Too late. There, that's your tax. If you're going to sit on me, you can say hello. So Leclerc radio. Leclerc, drink is spilling when he's doing zigzag. I need to drink even if I don't need to. God, that's unfortunate. It's probably going to run out of drink very quickly. Yes, Leclerc, you will have the drink. Even when you don't want it. So, anyway. So Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell were still under the safety car. I swear, sometimes these safety car periods just drag on and on and on and on. Sergio Perez penalty. Just stung him. 5 seconds? Shit. So, it was a false start after all. Ooh, it didn't look it. Checo's dad there. God, he's been having nothing but pain. He had a fucking heart attack from what I heard. Like, what is it? When Checo and Sainz collided at the end of Baku, back in September, he was watching that shit at home and apparently, from what I've heard, had a fucking heart attack. I almost did too. Jeez. So, penalty for Perez, well, we'll see what he can do from here. But spending the first 6 laps of the race and finally the safety car's ending. Spending the first 6 laps of the race behind the safety car is bad news for Checo Perez. And even worse news for Piastri down there in 17th. It just means that little bit less time to actually get something done from down there. So, as the field comes through the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 S's, here's Checo radio. 5-second penalty. We were forward of the grid box. We were too far forward. Okay, so that's what that was. Have a look, because I don't think we were, says Perez. Well, I mean, I want to see another shot of that, but if he was really out of his grid box, and then, I mean, that's basically a slam dunk. The stewards have all the views, and that's not a contentious one like last week. That is just a straight black and white. He was out. So here we go. Safety car is in. Green flag flies. Race is restarting. Max Verstappen leads us around the final corner to start lap 7. So Sainz second, Norris third, then Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, all in a line. All getting a decent bit of tow. Now Sainz is closing up a little bit on Verstappen, not quite enough to make anything happen here. In fact, looking down, looks like nobody's going to be really making a move on the restart. It's a very tame race restart there from everybody. Now here's Leclerc having a look at Norris. Now Norris needs to either jump Sainz or have Sainz jump Verstappen. Like, he needs that shit really, really desperately. I still cannot foresee Norris winning this championship, not unless Max DNFs and Norris gets a podium or a win or something like that. It is getting very late in the day to start making up more than 50 points of a difference. I mean, tell you what, in 2007, Kimi Raikkonen was, 17 points behind Hamilton with 2 races to go and made it work. 17 points, almost 2 full wins back then, and he still made it work. Now that is fairy tale shit, so you'd never know, but Kimi Raikkonen also had 6 wins that year. Lando ain't pulling those kind of numbers. Verstappen, that's another lap down, so lap 8, Verstappen still in the lead. You know, it's almost easy to forget with the amazing part of the season that we've just come through, where it's been so up and down, the form book. But this is basically how we spent all of last season. This is basically how we spent the first third of this season. It's just Max Verstappen leading, Max Verstappen wins. So we'll see if we are back DRS enabled. So that'll help everybody close up just a little bit. The thing is, the DRS isn't that powerful here because the air is so thin. It kind of struggles to work the way that it should. I mean, normally the DRS flap opens and then the car just dumps a whole lot of drag because it is already running a lot of downforce. It dumps a lot of drag. It's a bit like why the DRS effect isn't that pronounced at somewhere like Monza. I mean, it works, but it doesn't work as much as it really should because the air is so thin anyway. It just doesn't give that, it doesn't get rid of that much drag off the car because there's not really much to begin with. Which I don't mind. I mean, time was you had no DRS and you actually had to work to make a fucking pass, you know. So here we go, Sainz with the DRS open. Oh, he's going for it into turn 1. Bam! Nailed it. Oh, Verstappen running side by side. Sainz clatters the curb into 2, into 3. Sainz is ahead. Verstappen's coming back at him. Just cover the inside, Carlos. That's it. Ah, he's ahead. Ah, that's my boy. That's my boy right there. Ah, outstanding stuff by Carlos Sainz in through turn 6. And he's in the lead. Verstappen is coming with him very quickly now. It's bad news for Max because Lando Norris is right behind him now. Now that was a real dive bomb move from Carlos Sainz. Made the apex, didn't even run it wide at the end, so good stuff. God, that Ferrari's just taking so much curb this weekend. It's like a V8 supercar. Ah, zing, fantastic, good stuff. Now this is pod racing. This is what I wake up early for. Ah, Verstappen complaining about his battery. What is this stupid mode, he says. He needs to put this thing back on easy, like he's had it for the past 1.5 years. Somewhere he's switched it to hard and he's just stopped winning. Oh, pardon me. So Lando Norris now, going side by side with Max Verstappen. It's going to get run out wide. A little bit of contact. A little bit of contact. Lando Norris comes out into lead very quickly. Sainz is back. Lando is keeping ahead of Verstappen here now. What is Lando going to do? I don't know if the steward's going to be happy with that. Verstappen's run him off the road. Charles Leclerc is through. Charles Leclerc up to second. Max Verstappen down to third. Norris down to fourth. Hamilton's joining this battle. Holy shit. Now, notice the difference there between how Max Verstappen raced Carlos Sainz and how he raced Lando Norris. Woof. Norris on the radio saying he was ahead. This guy's dangerous. You know, yeah, kinda. Max Verstappen is just absolutely ruthless. I'm not sure if the stewards are going to back Max up here. Because especially heading into turn 4 and through turn 5, that was very... Or even worse than that, heading through, what is it, turn 7. That was, maybe, yeah, maybe that was a bit too cheeky from Max Verstappen there. I mean, he needs to finish ahead of Lando Norris. Absolutely needs to. And he's running ahead of him still. So now it's Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen in 3rd. Lando Norris in 4th. So Lando goes for the outside pass. Verstappen just kind of shoves him off the road out of 3. Norris rejoins... Oh, out of 4 rather. Norris rejoins the track. Max Verstappen gets a decent run out of turn 6. And then Max Verstappen is going to try a dive bomb move that never works because it takes both of them off. Yeah, I'm not sure about that for Max. I think that's probably a penalty. Yeah. And now Ferrari are leading 1-2. And Ferrari, with the bits that they put on that car from Monza onwards, they look quick. They look very, very quick. Norris ready. Whoever took it off the track and pushed me off. That he did, actually. So, yes. Stewards are already looking at it. They've noted the incident. I have noted it too. So, well done, stewards. You're on it. Mercedes doing a great BAR impression from back in the day of just being kind of there but not really involved. So just looking back through the field here after all of that funny stuff at the front, that's Checo Perez making a move on Lance Stroll. Gets by him. So Checo up to 11th. Verstappen incident forcing another driver off track noted. And that was turn 4. I thought the more egregious one was probably turn 7. Yeah. I get the feeling it could even be a double penalty for Verstappen here. If they're not happy with him at turn 4 or at turn 7, you know, he could be looking at 10 seconds. Which would just be, I think, quite ruinous. Now, this is the sort of shit that could well torpedo Max Verstappen's title challenge. If he has to cop a 10-second penalty, he will have to cop it at the pit stop because he has not stopped yet. After, I mean, maybe they could extend the stint a little bit because of the safety car, but oh, that's a long time to be sitting in the pits. A very, very long time, and he will lose a lot of positions doing that. This isn't like the end of the race where you can just make as much of a gap as you can and maybe you lose 1 or 2, maybe 3 positions. 10 seconds in the pits is an eternity. Piastri past Valtteri Bottas and up to 15th. So just another replay here. So Lando, I mean, they were kind of side by side going into 4, but I mean, Max, you know what he's doing, you know? I mean, there's a reason that he really, I don't think, tries to make it side by side through a corner. Yeah. I mean, look, I think it's funny. I think that it's entertaining to watch. This dive bomb here at turn 7, though, I think that's what's going to sink him. Because he goes off. He goes from way, way far behind. We'll see it again here. Just launches it and then takes them both off the track. Verstappen penalty. So there it is. 10 seconds. So it was 10 seconds. For forcing another driver off the track. Well, I mean, that kind of fucks his race there. Now, what Verstappen has to do is just forget about passing Leclerc. He's already 2 seconds behind him, by the way. He just has to go for it. So George Russell here having a very fun battle with Lewis Hamilton. Oh, you're very heavy, mate. Oh, crikey. Oh. So here we go. Future of Mercedes versus the past. Fuck off, Christian Horner. Right, Horner on the radio telling Max he's got a penalty for pushing Lando off at turn 4. I think the penalty for 10 seconds is pushing Lando off at turn 7. I know that the turn 4 thing is noted. I don't know if that's even been adjudicated yet or if they just sort of mash it up into a big 10-second penalty, but Horner also then telling Max there was a lot of whinging, and I think he's just talking about himself. God, this is Hamilton and Russell going at it into turn 1. Russell's ahead. Hamilton trying to come back, can't quite make it. Russell stays ahead. So Russell with the older spec car as well. Maybe those new bits don't work. Pardon me. And Russell stays ahead. So Russell 5th, Hamilton 6th, and K-Mag right behind them in 7th. So K-Mag's having a decent showing up the past couple of races, especially today. Look at that. Whoa. Just the run George Russell got on Hamilton there. That was a real proper overtake. I say a real proper overtake. It's a real proper DRS overtake, if you know what I'm saying. Science Radio, Charles taking the piss, honestly. Maybe Sainz doesn't like having Charles Leclerc right behind him. The thing is, Ferrari ain't going to do shit for Carlos Sainz here. He's already like 1 foot out the door. If Ferrari can work it so that Charles Leclerc gets the win today, then I get the feeling that's how they're going to work it. And Charles Leclerc's definitely going to try to work himself into the win because that's what Charles Leclerc does. It's a prime athlete. Fernando Alonso in the pits. Surely he's had more than 400 pit stops in his career. Is he retiring? Ah, shit. I was going to say, he really overshot his box. Retire the car. Fucking hell. I mean, that does kind of sum up Fernando Alonso's career. It's a shame. Like, he, at one point, was very Max Verstappen-esque, very much fighting at the front. Absolutely ruthless. A ruthless competitor. Prime athlete. And just the last 10 plus years of his career have just been this, just mired by shitty cars. No real hope of doing anything in them, you know. It's a real shame. So Ferrari telling Leclerc to keep it clean. He's 1.8 seconds behind now. So Sainz is maintaining a bit of a gap. Oof. Now 1.6 seconds Leclerc back from Sainz. So he's keeping it quite close. Anyway, on board with Sergio Perez here, having a look at Liam Lawson. It's quite interesting that Liam Lawson hasn't just let Checo by yet. And I get the feeling Liam Lawson has absolutely zero interest in letting Checo Perez by here. I mean, Checo's got a penalty. He needs to get by and up the road as quickly as he can. Lawson, ideally, in his pit stop, would jump out of that V car but into the Red Bull. Now, the thing is, Checo would not swap seats with Liam Lawson if he were to get the seat this year. Now, there's been a lot of talk, which I don't think is entirely true, but I think there's been a lot of talk that Checo Perez might... Well, there was the whole thing of Checo Perez was going to say he's retiring at the Mexican Grand Prix, and, well, that hasn't happened, which I didn't believe from the start. I thought it was just fanciful and silly sort of shit, but... whether he will see out the season, now that we're after Mexico, you never know. I mean, Red Bull have done this in the past. 2016, Danny Kvyat is in a Red Bull for the Russian Grand Prix, makes a bit of a mess of it, turn 1. 2 weeks later, rocks up to Spain, and he is in a Toro Rosso. So Red Bull are not completely averse to doing this. Oh, Checo. Oh, Liam Lawson having to really work for it here. Lawson's got to squeeze him. Oh, Lawson's really not giving it up. Oh, there's debris there, so they've made contact. Something's just fallen off a car. I think Checo might have a puncture. Oh, maybe not a puncture, but he was really sliding coming out of turn 6. I mean, I think a whole chunk has just come off of Checo's floor. And it looks like the right side pod as well. Yeah, there's a big hole put in it now, so... Liam Lawson shakes ahead. Well, that is what the Kiwi thinks of letting you buy Sergio, so now what? Now Lance Stroll right on the back of Perez, who we only just got by a couple of laps ago. Checo radio, what the fuck is he doing? Is he okay? He's gunning for your seat, buddy. That's what he's doing. He's gunning for your seat and he doesn't give a shit. He's had to wait for nearly a year for it. I mean, normally a V-carb holding up a Red Bull and taking a chunk out of its side pod on its floor would make Helmut Marko see red. But because it's Liam Lawson doing it to Checo Perez, he's probably back shuffling his nuts watching the replay. It's kind of stuff that really would stick in Helmut Marko's mind, and he would think, yes, good work. Now this is Lance Stroll getting around the outside. There's a real... Yeah, okay, so Checo's just run over a bit of debris on the outside of turn 5 as well. So Stroll's just basically been shoved off the road by Checo Perez a little bit Max Verstappen style. A little bit. Ooh. Max Verstappen, another 10-second penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, right? So that would be, is that turn 7? Maybe it would be. So Max Verstappen, 20 seconds of a penalty, almost, shit, that's almost going to be like a DNF. I mean, oh, they're really not fucking around. Leaving the track and gaining an advantage at turn 8. Oh, turn 8, of course, not turn 7. Duh. Forgive me, it's late. Or early. Again. Oh. Damn, that is, well, Max has priors now. And they're really, really not interested in it. The stewards are very upset with the poor guy. So here's a replay. So Lawson really squeezes Checo. Stewards have noted this too, and now Lawson is, yeah, he's kind of just shoving Checo aside there into turn 5. So Lawson, I mean, Checo does push him off the track, really. Lawson, is he fucking serious? So yeah, here's a replay of slow motion. You can see just a massive, massive chunk missing out of Checo's floor there. Bit of a hole in the side pod too, so that's just basically gonna fuck him from here on out. I mean, it just seems like a running theme here now. Oh, Colapinto with very robust defending there on Oscar Piastri. At the end of the main straight, just basically chopped him. Piastri doesn't give a shit and is through. So Checo, 8.1 second stop, so that's his penalty served. That's just for the false start, but I'm not sure about his the Liam Lawson thing. I mean, he kind of, who was it? Maldonado and Hamilton had a bit of this, where Hamilton got taken out in Valencia in 2012 by Maldonado, who had been basically pushed off the track, and while off the track in a chicane, just basically tried to come back across at the apex and took Lewis out. It reminds me a little bit of this. It's kind of messy driving here, very forceful. Like they're trying to race like NASCAR, where it's really get your shoulders out and start barging people around. These cars don't really take that sort of punishment though. They're very fragile. Russell radio. So Verstappen now has a 20-second penalty. Wow. He might be wondering where that's been for a couple of races now. I mean, Verstappen's had a. I remember 2021. He was sort of doing this where he started pulling some very, how shall we say, creative moves on Lewis Hamilton, Saudi Arabia, Brazil. I mean, Max was pushing the limits. I think in Austria against Lando Norris. It's definitely pushing the limits last time out in Austin. I mean, no doubt he won't be happy about this. So Max radio, and he's basically reacting to the second 10-second penalty news, as you'd expect Max Verstappen to do. He's very upset by this. I mean, what's going on here is just you've gotten Max Verstappen, who is very naturally a aggressive um, racer. He's very aggressive attacking and he's very aggressive defending. It's just it's his thing. It's the way his brain works. He goes absolutely all in. There's no fucking about. What is this? A replay of Piastri and Colapinto. Oh, so that was from lap 18 a little while ago. Piastri diving down the inside of turn 1. Colapinto just kind of coming across, leaving the room, but Piastri hitting the curb, and that kind of took him out into the middle of the track, and they made a little bit of contact. Now, Checo Perez is way at the back, having made his stop. 17 seconds behind Esteban Ocon, who's running 16th. I mean, Max has always been like this. He's always been very, very creative, adventurous, very forceful, overtaking, very aggressive, overtaking and defending. And he's always been like that. He goes all in. He really doesn't fuck around, hates to lose. And you could see that. He fucking hates to lose because he will, like Michael Schumacher back in the day, he will really, or even a little bit Fernando Alonso, he will really start to push the limits when he feels threatened. Not always. I mean, the last year and a half we've seen Max Verstappen mostly winning at the front, no problem. But it's very rarely that he's ever been actually challenged. And I think when he has a very dominant car, it's all about how threatened he feels and how strong he feels his car is. If he is not 100% that his car can make it, that even with him driving at 110%, if he's not absolutely certain that his car is fast enough to win, if he is convinced that whoever is behind him, Lando, Lewis, whoever, is faster than him, then he will start getting creative. It's a little bit of a desperation move, but it's also something I think that he feels he just needs to do to stay ahead. Whatever it takes, one of those mindsets, whatever it takes to win, as long as you win. Which really starts to land him in. So Verstappen saying his tyres aren't really holding on anymore, as Lando Norris is caught right up to him, half a second behind now through the S's. I mean, what we're seeing is just basically a culmination of how Max Verstappen has driven for pretty much his whole career. I don't think he's a dirty driver. Naturally, I don't think he is. I think he is hyper aggressive, and I think that sometimes that hyper aggressiveness will take him places that maybe aren't, you know, well, the stewards don't like it, some of the fans don't like it, some of the other drivers don't like it. Lando Norris now at the end of the front straight, zero point 0.3 seconds behind, but just can't quite get it done. Now, another thing this does when Max Verstappen drives like that is it makes, Lando, you notice the way that Sainz at the start, after a couple laps of the restart, when he could send it on the inside of Max Verstappen. And Verstappen, I mean, he tried forcing a little bit, but it wasn't that bad. Sainz basically made the dive bomb and he made it work. And then immediately, as soon as Lando Norris tries it, because they're fighting for a championship, he and Max, that's when Max suddenly starts pushing the limits, pushing him over the edge, things like that. Verstappen, I don't think is that fussed about wins at this point of the season. He's not. He doesn't need to win from here on out. He just needs to finish ahead of Lando Norris, and he did last week, and it was great. So box is the call for Max Verstappen. So they've seen his tyres are rubbish, and they're just going to get off them as quick as they can. Now this is going to be a very long wait for Max Verstappen. A very, very long wait. Now, don't touch the car, guys. They're just waiting, they're waiting, they're waiting. They have not yet touched the car. Okay, here we go. And you really want to get that right. You don't want to be copying another penalty on top of that. What is interesting is it was two 10-second penalties. I thought that it would have been two 5-second penalties. So stewards really aren't happy with Max. Really, really aren't. What's also interesting is even with a 20-second penalty, Max Verstappen is still running ahead of Checo Perez. Let's ponder that. Yeah, so the tail of Max Verstappen, hey? He's an interesting one. He's a very, very interesting character, I think, Max, when he drives, because he is naturally so gifted. He is a phenomenal race driver. He's brilliant. So quick, so quick, and has been basically since the very start. Even then, and in that Ferrari Florida Winter Series, whatever that shit is, what was going on in America in 2014, where he participated once straight out of go-karts, he was very quick. About as naturally gifted as a race driver comes, but he's also ruthless, hyper competitive, and that sort of shit tends to land him in trouble sometimes. It'll be interesting going forward as Ocon looks like he's making a move on Zhou Guan Yu, who just looks like he absolutely does not want to drive that Sauber anymore, and who could blame him? Yeah, Max, it's going to be interesting going forward to see how. I mean, I know what Horner's going to say after the race. I already know. He is as predictable as a clock, Hamilton box, and Hamilton hits the pits. So, oh. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens from here forward. Max is going to be upset about it. I think he knows. He will probably know, even if he won't admit it. He will know that at least one of those penalties was coming, and that at least one of those penalties was worthwhile. Now, what is important is that Lando Norris is running third, not second, not first. He's running third. Now, Max is running 13th. He doesn't look that far out of the pits. In fact, everybody else has to pit ahead of him. So I could see Max Verstappen still being strong enough to come back and finish maybe somewhere around where the Haas's are. Now, you will see Lawson, assuming Max gets up that far, and he probably will, that's what she said, Lawson will dive out of the way for Max. He wants to do his part, you know. He wants to prove that he is a way better teammate than Checo Perez could be. So just looking at where everybody is now, he's not that far. I think maybe somewhere Haas is where I would assume that he's going to finish. Now, if Max Verstappen finishes 7th, 6th, somewhere around that, and Lando Norris is 3rd, that's still good news. That's not that much of a point difference to ship to Lando Norris. I mean, you could see Max was pulling out all the stops. He doesn't want to finish behind him at all. Law of averages is he will. He will probably finish behind him. He could well finish behind him for the rest of the season. It's okay as long as Norris is not winning. It's as fine as long as Norris is not second. And he isn't. He's 3rd. That's 15 points. 16 with the fastest lap, which I don't think Norris is going to get. As Verstappen gets past Ocon, I don't think Norris will get the fastest lap, especially when Red Bull has Checo Perez, or maybe realistically Lawson. Maybe they'll hope for somebody else to set the fastest lap. Maybe a Ferrari will keep it. Either way. And look at this. As we see in this graphic, the Live Constructors Championship, Ferrari have absolutely leapt to Red Bull. Now, Mercedes is way too far behind. They're not going to go any higher than 4th. So, as Norris hits the pits here, now, what kind of a pit stop is Lando Norris going to have? He needs a good one. And it was a pretty good one. 2.3 seconds. You know, that's pretty good. Oh, stewards are being harder than usual on Max because the officiating quota was scandalous and they want to regain credibility. Thoughts? I think the stewarding is scandalous no matter what. I think those assholes couldn't do a good job if the job involved blowing up a balloon and sitting on their nuts. I think it's not just Kota. I think it's a little bit of Austria as well. I think it's probably there's a lot of people looking at the stewards and saying this ain't fit for purpose. And then you also had there was a driver meeting. The drivers have a GPDA meeting before every race, but there was one before this one, and they were discussing with the FIA what is the go with racing rules, because as we saw in Austria, if you are being overtaken, all you have to do is just send it. If you send it when somebody's trying to overtake you around the outside and you just send it into the corner, you'll likely be ahead by the apex, and then you could just run them out wide. Which to me is just, you know, it's pretty obvious what's going on when that happens. Like Max on Lando in Austin, it was very obvious what was going on. That looks like kind of a messy stop for Russell. 2.8. Looked like that wheel went on late though. So Leclerc has also stopped. All of them onto the hards. So just a one-stop race here for all of these people. Nobody being adventurous with the soft. Yeah, I think stewards are probably desperate to regain a little bit of credibility. I don't think that comes into this. I think it was a slam dunk that Max was getting a 10-second penalty, but that was for me the second part of that whole fracas. Science radio box. Okay, cool. So Science is about to hit the pits, and he just has. To me, that was Max definitely earned one of those 10-second penalties. 2. I think it could even be, and I know Michael Massey isn't there anymore, but it could be a little bit of, and the stewards and the race directing is very different, but it could be a little bit of, you give Max a short leash in 2021 and he kind of goes crazy with it. Well, rather, you give him a long leash and he goes crazy with it. So they were trying to shorten that. Saudi was one thing, Brazil was another, and that got all very contentious. I think they're terrified of something like that happening again, where you have slowing down in the middle of a fucking straight in order to let a car by, and especially Brazil, turn 4 and 5, the silly shit that he was playing with Lewis Hamilton that year. I think they want to save the credibility of the upcoming races, and they know they're going to have to give Max Verstappen a big smack on the knuckles right now if they're going to stop that. That, and yeah, like I said, he kind of earned at least one of them. I'm surprised it wasn't like a 10 and a 5, but I guess they're just saying absolutely no fucking around today. This is Mexico, and we do not fuck around in Mexico. It is all serious business. Anyway, here's your lucha mask. So Russell not happy that he's had to stop already. Feels like he could have done a couple more laps. Russell's just kind of in a no man's land here though, isn't he? I mean, he's 11 seconds behind Norris. I don't see him catching Lando. But he's also, I mean, Piastri's sort of hanging in there. I mean, Lawson's between them, but Lawson isn't going to come into this. But Piastri starts to pit as well. Piastri's saying to his engineer, just think about pulling me out of this. So Piastri's basically stuck in a DRS train. Can't go anywhere, but he wants to pit to get out of it, but there he goes around to start another lap. Oh, Lewis. Oh, that's very close between Lewis and Piastri in turn 1. Lewis has to back out of it. Oh, Lawson's really holding up Piastri and Lewis Hamilton here, so Piastri gets by him into turn 5. Lewis having a look into turn 6, and I think Lawson's just going to let him by. Yeah, easy. Yeah, so Lawson picking and choosing his fights, and I think the only fight he really wants to pick and choose is against Checo Perez. Of course, it's also now he's carrying a bit of a damaged car, but I think Liam doesn't mind that he damaged it while also screwing with Checo Perez, who is still down in 16th place and 1 second behind Joe, so surely he won't stay there much longer, but how much further he can get up today. I mean, it looks like another disappointing Mexican Grand Prix for Checo Perez. I remember there was all this talk about what was it in 22? Like Max is gonna let Checo win, basically, things like that to thank him for all that he's done for him, and nope. Checo never really quite got close. I think 3rd place in the end it was. But then Max is also giving him a right big middle finger in 22, saying go fuck yourself. Never quite recovered from that, their relationship. Monaco and everything forward. Remember Max screwing Checo at the end of Brazil there. Well, not screwing him, but just definitely not letting him by. Just saying like, no, never going to happen again. Yeah. I wonder if the writing was on the wall for Checo at Red Bull even back then. Ah, delicious coffee, finally. I feel like I'm coming back to life here. So, working lap 36. You know what? It's halfway, isn't it? We're halfway through this race. So, Sainz, Leclerc, Norris, Russell, Hamilton in 5th, Piastri, Lawson, Colapinto 6th, 7th, 8th. None of them have pitted than Verstappen in 9th, Bottas 10th, then K-Mag, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Gasly, Joe, Perez, and Stroll running last in 17th. Alonso had to retire with a blown car. Not sure exactly what it was, but something on there was fucked. So Max Verstappen gets by Colapinto. So Liam Lawson about 2 seconds up the road. So, you know, it looks like Verstappen is even going to pass the Haas's because they have both pitted, haven't they? So he's looking at about a 6th place finish because, well, this is where Piastri comes into it as well, isn't it? Because Piastri has not yet pitted, but Piastri could well come back to give Max Verstappen something to think about by the end of the race, especially if he's got much fresher tyres than Max. Now I wonder if potentially they could pit Max again near the end of the race and give him something faster to work with, maybe to help him stay ahead of Piastri or get him rather a better chance of getting back by Piastri if Piastri were to get by him with faster tyres after his pit stop. Going to be interesting to see, but it looks like Max Verstappen is on course for 6th or 7th, which, as long as the Ferraris are holding 1-2, I think Max could well be thinking, you know what, could be worse. Could be much worse. So, replay here, George Russell. Yeah, that wing is really flapping around the place. Yeah, you can just see the upper element. It doesn't, that's not quite flexing. That just looks like it's flapping a bit. So George Russell, front wing issues, not great for him. So where is he? 3.5 seconds up the road from Lewis Hamilton in 4th place. It's been a good showing out of George Russell this year. Been very, very impressed. 2 wins, 1 that stayed, you know, 1 that counted. 1 was a gift, 1 was earned. And he got to keep the gift, and the one he earned he had to give back. He's done well. He's done very well this year. Been very, very impressed by George Russell, actually, how he has taken the reins at Mercedes. You know, the odd mistake still. Crashing in qualifying last week wasn't fantastic, but I think overall it's been a very, very solid job by George Russell as Max Verstappen just moves by Liam Lawson like he was not even there. Piastri is the next one up the road now. I wonder if that's why McLaren have not pitted. Piastri, yeah. Would they throw Piastri away in the race just to fuck with Verstappen? I wouldn't think so, but who knows at this point of the year? Seems like anything goes. Now this is a replay on board with Hulkenberg getting by. Looks like Valtteri Bottas into turn 1. Easy as you like. Yeah, very simple pass. So lap 39, Sainz leading by 7.5 seconds to Charles Leclerc in 2nd, and then Lando Norris 5 seconds behind him in 3rd. Russell 15.5 seconds behind in 4th. Hamilton 3 seconds behind in 5th. So, and then Piastri hasn't pitted yet. Colapinto radio, something wrong with the steering. Strange goes stiff, then soft, stiff, soft. That's what she said. Well, who was it? It was he had a weak collision with somebody earlier in the race, didn't he? Who was that? Checo Perez, I think. They had a little bit of a coming together, a little bit of a touch in turn 1. I think it could be something related to that. Was it Checo or was it somebody else? Was it an Aston Martin? Can't recall. Either way, I do remember Colapinto having a little bit of a bump with somebody in turn 1 about 20 or so laps ago. Piastri box. Okay, here we go. You know, I've noticed that Alpine cannot hold a top 10 position in the race. Should jump Lawson, should jump Colapinto here, and Bottas. So, what would that put it? Maybe 10th? Depending on where Piastri is going to wash out from here. Pardon me. So, it's all gone kind of quiet at Alpine, isn't it? They're not really doing anything. They're not doing anything stand out. They're not bringing up the back of the grid like they were at the start of the year. You know, they're quicker than Sauber. It looks like they're quicker than Williams, but they're not really doing much with it. Straight up no man's land, that car. And it's getting very late in the day to actually do anything. In terms of the Constructors' Championship for that team, they're just kind of just stuck, mired down, doing really nothing. A very real nothing end to the year for them. So that's Checo Perez actually by Liam Lawson now. Lawson's coming back at him. Lawson on much fresher tyres than Checo Perez, but Perez is going to have absolutely fucking none of it. Tell you what, if these two collide, it will be very, very funny. I mean, Checo he must know that this is basically it. He, pardon me. He got re-signed for 2 years. Verstappen radio, it's getting very dark. So it's just cloud cover. Nothing hitting the track at the moment, so no rain. It's getting very dark. Maybe Max is just talking in metaphors now. Either way, Lawson right on the back of Sergio Perez. 16th and 17th, these two right now. Lawson has just made a stop, DRS open, and he's going to go by, and there's nothing really Checo can do about this. Is he going to come back at him? Oh, having a faint little look into turn 1, but nothing really doing. Yeah. And Lawson goes through. I think Checo's got to he's got to know that seat's going, you know. I mean, he signs a 2-year extension, and then almost immediately they're still talking about replacing him, and he has to earn the seat despite having a contract for the next 2 seasons, you know. I've never seen that sort of shit before. I've never seen in this sport somebody get signed for another 2 years and then immediately have to still prove that they're worth showing up for the rest of the season. It's fucking crazy to me, to be honest. Like, why even extend him? Why sign him at all? What's the point? Just a replay of Piastri getting by, who's that? Esteban Ocon. So, lap 42, Sainz, Leclerc, Norris, Russell, Hamilton, Verstappen back up to 6th. Russell got small raindrops on the visor, or is that sweat? You never know with George Russell. Pardon me. It is getting a little bit dark. I don't think it's going to rain though, surely not. Verstappen saying he's got no grip. So maybe they will pit Verstappen again. You never know. He was the first one of the front runners to pit. What's he done? 16 laps on those tyres. Colapinto has done 40. He's working his 42nd lap on the hards. Fucking hell, he is absolutely pushing it. Woof. So Gasly going for the move on Bottas into turn 1. Oh, Piastri having a little look, just can't quite do anything behind the both of them. Just sort of getting blocked out a little bit there. Tell you what, I'm going to be so happy when that Sauber leaves the grid because it's a big piece of shit car. And that is one of the worst fucking liveries I have ever seen in my life. That is a very awful garish green. That is just... Green and black can work, you know. You can make green work very well on a race car. Look at the Aston Martin or the Jag back in the day. Green totally can work, but that is one of the most horrific shades of green I have ever seen on a car. Dear God. Not only is that thing slow as shit, but it's got fucking steak written all over it, which is just blah. You know. It's not really a sponsor that gets your boner going. It's just got nothing to it. And that fucking shade of green and black is just horrific. Absolutely horrific. Looks like the Toxic Avenger has jizzed all over that car. It is fucking disgusting. Box, Checo Perez. So Checo Perez off of his medium tyres onto more medium tyres. So he started on the hards, didn't he? Zhou Guanyu exiting the pits as well, just ahead of Checo Perez, who's coming out now. So Checo Perez dead last. Man, that is... I mean, you look at Verstappen, that's 6th place, which is a decent recovery with two 10-second penalties. Checo Perez, though, I mean, he had, what, a 1 5-second penalty, but... Well, there's a little bit of rain in the area. Or is that just fucking smog? It's hard to tell. It could well just be fucking pollution, honestly. I love that. God bless Crofty trying to rescue that, just calling it a vibrant city, and you've just seen so much fucking shit in the air. Checo speedrunning the Kubica skill. He's speedrunning the fucking Centrelink line next year. He's gonna be just sitting on his ass shuffling his nuts by the time we rock up to Albert Park next year. I cannot see Checo lasting after this season, especially if Red Bull fall back to third, and they will off of today. Ferrari once again going to be scoring maximum points. That car looks quick. Both of their drivers look quick. Red Bull are fighting one-handed here. I can't. I mean, oh, bloody hell, mate. You are just so heavy. You feel more dead weight than Checo Perez at Red Bull. Oh, crikey. I can't see Checo getting away with it. That's how I put it. Red Bull cannot finish third in the championship while also winning the Drivers' Championship. That's basically unheard of. I can't remember the last time that ever happened, if it has ever happened. I remember Alonso almost winning 2012, and I think Ferrari were third in that championship. But again, that was another case of one driver's pulling his weight, and I mean really pulling his weight, and the other one just does nothing. And Checo just doesn't really have the excuse, does he? He should be doing better. And that's really all it comes down to. He should be doing better. It's not like he's had a Kubica and lost his arm, or he's had a Felipe Massa and, you know, taken a big old bonk in the head. I got mind fucked by getting cucked out of a championship. He's just gone so far off the boil. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I mean, I don't think Checo was ever a Max Verstappen driver, you know. I don't think he was ever of that caliber, but you saw, especially in his first season there, he was good. He was very, very good, very reliable, very dependable. I mean, Albon wasn't worse than this. Fucking Gasly, I don't think, was any worse than this at Red Bull. Fucking Kvyat definitely wasn't worse than this, you know what I mean? He's just, I just don't see it. I don't see it. And I can see, where is he now? 15th, Liam Lawson. Whoa. Let's see what he can do. Looks like he's stuck in a little bit of a train behind Ocon and Stroll. That's some decent driving out of Colapinto there with Piastri. Just, see, that is how you force a driver out wide. That's how you do it. You don't just run them off the track. You just squeeze them just a little, just enough so that they back off. And decent driving by Piastri as well, to not just keep his foot in it and then scream about it on the radio afterwards. Colapinto, who is still in the frame for that Sauber seat next year, who just makes it into the pits. Just missed that bollard. So Colapinto finally in the pits. Piastri has been released 8 seconds down the road from Nico Hulkenberg in 8th. Looks like he might have just overshot his pits by about a foot there. Bit of a sticky right rear as well. 4.4 seconds, so not a great stop for Colapinto, but should easily clear Checo Perez. Yeah, should really easily clear Checo Perez coming out of the pits there. So here is Liam Lawson. So he is behind the Aston Martin, behind the Alpine. So Hamilton now 1 second. Oh, as Lawson's making a move on the Alpine and he gets it done. Good pass. So up to 13th. Up to 13th for Liam Lawson. Valtteri Bottas running 11th still has not pitted. And Ocon's not pitted either. So I think both of those cars were, the strategy was wait for a red flag or wait for rain or pray. Science saying that we're pushing too hard. No need for the team. Translation, Leclerc is going too quick and I don't want to push my tyres this hard. So Science basically wants Leclerc to stop pushing him. The thing is, Leclerc can't stop pushing that much because he's got Norris only 4 seconds behind him. And there's a very important thing that Sainz might be forgetting here, is that Ferrari don't give a fuck about Carlos Sainz. They don't give a fuck any more than they absolutely have to. He is out the door. Which is a shame. It's going to be very interesting to see what Lewis Hamilton can do at Ferrari next year. Going to be very, very interesting. Charles Leclerc is a formidable teammate. Extremely quick. From what I've seen out of Lewis Hamilton this year, I really, really start to wonder if he could... I get the feeling World Championship number 8 might be beyond him. I mean, who knows? Famous last words, and he could be there for a good few years yet, but just something tells me, like the way that he's struggled with that Mercedes the past few years, the way that he's been more or less covered by George Russell. And it's not so much the championship positions or anything like that. I think Lewis was very strong last year. I think he's been not quite that great this year. Where are we? Russell 8 points behind Hamilton in the championship as it stands, and that includes a 25-point swing DNF for the race that Russell was disqualified from winning, and then Hamilton inherited the win. I mean, without that alone, you'd have Russell ahead of Hamilton in the championship again, and he's looked the stronger of the drivers, a lot like there's Antonelli there. I can't fucking wait to see him getting an F1 car in anger and really, really go for it. That's going to be very fun. Yeah, Lewis at Ferrari. Fuck, I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, no matter what. I mean, it's going to be box office, no matter what. If he comes out at Albert Park in red and gets out qualified by Leclerc, questions immediately questions. And the British press are horrific. They're horrible, and they have nothing on the Italian press. The Italian press will want blood every single time. Every single time Ferrari doesn't win a race, there's a it's scandalous to them. It's gonna be very interesting to see how he copes with all of this sort of stuff, because it's very late in his career to like, part of me thinks, like, why bother with Ferrari at this point of your career? That's when you're already a 7-time champion, you've already got more than 100 wins. You're 40 years old, well, will be when he gets started at Ferrari. Like, like, what's the point getting involved in all of this shit now? Either way, fastest lap goes to Colapinto, lap 52 of 71. So we're entering the final part of this Grand Prix, aren't we? Sainz still ahead of Leclerc. Norris, Russell, Hamilton, who we're seeing here, the Mercedes fighting for 4th and 5th. So Hamilton is really keeping up here. Then Verstappen, 10 seconds, 12 seconds, give or take, down the road. Then K-Mag, Hulkenberg, Piastri, and Gasly running 10th. Then Stroll, Lawson, Colapinto, Bottas, Ocon, Checo, Perez in 16th. And a lap down, Zhou Guanyu 17th. And then Alonso, Albon, and Tsunoda out. So you can tell it's a shit race when they keep going back to when they keep cutting back to just people screaming in the crowd. It's one of the worst fucking things, honestly. It's not even a shit race either. It's one of the worst things, just this obnoxious fucking screaming and yelling in the crowd. I mean, I get that it's a sporting event and then that's what happens. That's fine. I don't begrudge the crowd for doing it, but keep the shit off the TV, for God's sake. It adds nothing, It adds nothing. I would rather watch Mattia Binotto picking his teeth. Like, it's the same. It provides the exact same sort of thing to me. Fuck are they screaming about anyway? There's no overtaking going on. Maybe they're looking at the price of the hot dog stand. Either way, Lewis Hamilton's still looking at the back of George Russell here. So battle for 8th is promising to heat up soon. Piastri's 3 seconds behind, but he is on the move. 10 lap pressure tyres as well, so had a much faster car than the Haas, so I would imagine Piastri should get 8th. Could well be getting 7th. It looks like Verstappen might be just too far down the road to catch up by the end of the race, because he's only got, 17 or so laps to get there. So yeah, I think without a safety car or something like that to bunch everybody up, I'd say it's looking like it will be 6th for Max Verstappen, which is 8 points from memory. Yes, 8 points to Norris's 15. So even after today, he would only be shipping 7 points to Lando Norris, which is a very manageable gap, because it means that we move into the final 4 races of the season and he still has more than, from my maths at least, he still has more than 2 wins in hand. Hamilton making a slight false move, Russell covering it off into turn 1. It's a decent battle, this. Lewis is really trying to crank up the pressure. Russell has a damaged wing and has an older spec car. Not that the newer spec, is that much of a step up anyway. Actually, Mercedes was saying the new spec car might have been the reason that Hamilton and Russell both had big crashes last week in Austin. So, I mean, a lot like Albert Park, Sainz takes the lead from Max Verstappen very early on and just looks like he's never going to give it up. Lap 55 of 71, Sainz, Leclerc, Norris. Russell has fallen 24 seconds behind Norris as well. So that Mercedes really is kind of in no man's land, isn't it? Comfortably ahead of everybody else in the midfield, but quite far behind the front runners. Now, I think what I want to see for the rest of this race, probably this Mercedes fight. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens, how far Piastri can get, and can Lawson get back into the points. He's not that far from Stroll, but Gasly is starting to disappear a little bit down the road, and Lawson will be absolutely gunning for points. You know, it's been 2 races this season, and for Liam, it's a shame. This is the scene of Ricciardo's arguably his last great Formula 1 drive. Esteban Gutierrez is still in the Mercedes garage. I'm not sure if anybody else realizes that he's there. I remember he became a Mercedes reserve at some time like 2016, 17-ish. No, 16 he was in the Haas. I think it was a 17 onwards he became a Mercedes reserve. They didn't really let him do anything. I don't think he even has a current super license to race in Formula 1 if they needed him. I'm not sure they realize he's still an employee. He might just be hanging out like Kramer, not really working there. Just, kind of attending meetings and just sort of putting on the shirt and hanging out. So, lap 56, Russell still ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton is hanging in there, and you gotta wonder just how many more laps Lewis's tyres are going to be able to hang in that close to George Russell. Piastri making a move on Nico Hulkenberg, so he did catch up, and he's gotten it done. Magnussen 8 seconds up the road, 15 laps to go. At this pace, he should be able to catch him. Verstappen a further 8 seconds up the road, so I think that might be just a little too far to make it work. That said, Max was complaining about his tyres earlier, but I think he's just going to ease this one home. Considering it was two 10-second penalties and a bit of damage to his car, it's a pretty decent return for Max Verstappen in the end, 6th place. If Norris is only 3rd, and that's if they all make it to the end, that's not that bad. That's not that bad at all. Now, as the race is sort of okay. Alright, so Lando's actually back on the move here. 2.4 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. You can see him just starting to creep up. And you know what? I was going to say, Max isn't shipping that many points. Another 3 points is on the cards if Norris can get by Charles Leclerc here. 13 laps to get it done. 2.3 seconds behind. There's a lapped car in the middle. That's Liam Lawson, but he shouldn't be that big a deal to get by. Should be moving out of the way, and probably will do so here on the straight between turn 3 and 4. And yep, there he goes. Ooh. Now this is actually interesting. I mean, I've been finding it really interesting, but this is particularly interesting. Norris could well rescue something here. He could, at the very least, get back up to 2nd. Now, we're going to see exactly what Leclerc's got in him. As we, again, cut away from the cars to watch some arsehole just waving a sign. I almost missed COVID. Anyway. Norris 2 seconds, 1.9 seconds behind Leclerc, so he is moving, and Norris knows that there is a lot of points up for grabs here. The thing is, if it comes down to, and Max Verstappen is, as it stands, going to be, if it were to end the next lap, then by my money, Max Verstappen is 50 points ahead of Lando Norris. 50 points ahead, which means 2 wins, which means all Max has to do is finish ahead in Brazil and finish ahead in Vegas. And then that's it. It's game over. And even then, it just needs to finish ahead in Brazil or Vegas or Qatar, and he could well be champion by the time we get to Abu Dhabi, which would be quite, I mean, it'd be quite the thing if a season that's been this competitive, especially the second phase of this season, has been so competitive and so all over the place. I mean, Sainz winning, fucking Leclerc winning, Norris winning, Piastri winning, Russell winning, Hamilton winning. Not Checo though. But all of these guys, just racking and stacking wins, trading them back and forth. Every weekend we go into a race not really knowing, big slide for Lewis there. Behind George Russell still, not really knowing who's going to be the winner. And it's been a long time. It's been quite a few years since we've had that, where it's just been so open between at least 3 teams. And occasionally Mercedes too. It's been quite the season, but to go into Abu Dhabi with a champion already crowned, I think would be, I think just a testament to how good Max Verstappen was at the start of the season, and also how he's just been able to bring it home as well. Lando Norris now 1.3 seconds behind Charles Leclerc. 11 laps to go. Oh, could it be done? It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if he could actually get this done. I mean, Max is going to be hoping and praying that Charles Leclerc can get it done. Ferrari too, because they are up for 2 consecutive 1-2 finishes here. Hamilton now around the outside of George Russell. Oh, Russell keeping it in there. Oh, tell you what, Lewis is really, really giving it a red hot go here. Russell's now fallen to 30 seconds behind Lando Norris, so Lando has upped the pace. Russell is being very distracted by Lewis behind him. I mean, at this pace, I can't see Lewis staying behind George Russell here. I mean, Russell's done very well so far, but 11 more laps to go. Fuck, man, Lewis is on the move. It's going to be very interesting. I don't think Lewis has declined. It's hard to know exactly how quick that Mercedes is, really. We know it's not a race winner. We're not a real, proper, consistent race winner. It had a few wins. We had 3 wins in the middle of the year, which just kind of came from nowhere. One was absolutely a gift in Austria. Silverstone was mostly a gift when McLaren fucked up the strategy, and Spa was just a bit of magic, as well as a bit of fuck-ups from everybody else. So it's kind of difficult to gauge where Lewis is. A bit, yeah. It'll be a lot clearer next year where Lewis stands when you compare him in a Ferrari next to Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris fastest lap now, less than 1 second behind Charles Leclerc. Here we go. So big finishing coming. Pardon me, a big finishing coming here. Russell v Hamilton, Norris v Leclerc. look at Norris. He's going. He's moving it. He's going to go for it. The thing is, Leclerc does not have to fight that hard for a championship here because he's basically out of it. I mean, mathematically, he's still got it, but I mean, let's face it, it's all over. Zach Brown looking on there. Oh, Leclerc off. Oh my God, Leclerc off at the Peraltada. Fucking hell, I thought he was going straight into the wall there. That's a massive, massive moment here. Massive moment. Fucking hell. So Norris just scoots on by. 19 points. So he's going to make 11 on Max Verstappen now, which brings it underneath 2 wins. Oh, crikey. Bad news for Max. Very bad news for Max. Now that is a hell of a... Fuck, that was quite a loss and quite a save from Charles Leclerc there. So he's just, got a massive slide on. So the rear's just coming around on him, and he's... I don't know how the fuck he's kept that out of the wall there. It didn't even look like he was really offline. No, just... Oh, God, you could just hear the rear really lighting it up. I mean, they really are on the edge of grip here. Oh, I mean, he was running a little bit wide. He was making a little bit of a wider line through the final corner, but big save for Charles Leclerc there. Big save. That could have been fucking massive, that wreck. Good grief. So, the wash up of that, Lando Norris, 8 seconds. Another fastest lap. 8 seconds behind Carlos Sainz. About 8 laps to go. Oh, could it be done? Surely not. Just looking ahead of the traffic, Sainz has probably 1 car left to worry about for the rest of the Grand Prix in order of getting by. Lando Norris, another car in between them. Just trying to catch who that is between them. I think it's an Alpine. Yeah, it's Gasly. I mean, that shouldn't be that bad. That shouldn't be that difficult to get by. So really all Sainz has to do is just keep it on the road and keep it relatively quick, and he should be able to see this one out. Hamilton, by the way, is still right up George Russell's arse, but has not gotten by. So okay, Leclerc, think about the fastest lap. Do you really want to do that to him right now? His tyres are 33 laps old. He's just almost put it in the wall under a little bit of pressure. Like, I don't know if you really want to be doing the fastest lap. I wonder if Ferrari think that they can catch McLaren. Which I don't think that they... It's a bit like the Drivers' Championship where you look at the gap and you just think, ain't no way. But then you look at the form and you think, maybe. To me, and today was probably outside of retirement, it's about as bad as it gets for Max Verstappen, and he's still pulling in 6th place. Hamilton on George Russell again. Having a look, Russell very decent defending. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, stays ahead. Tell you what, George Russell's having a decent race today. Being able to stay, even if Lewis does eventually get by, and it looks like he's not going to be able to work it here. No, Russell will still stay ahead. Into turn 6. And out of turn 6, stays ahead. And into turn 7, stays ahead through turn 8. So George Russell is having a phenomenal race here, staying ahead of Lewis Hamilton. That Lewis's car does look quicker. I mean, it very visibly, it looks a lot quicker than that. Than the Mercedes that's ahead of him. Colapinto getting by Liam Lawson. Wow. Colapinto's an interesting one. He's still being mentioned as maybe getting that second seat at Sauber. The word was Bottas was going to get that, but that's all gone very, very quiet. Lewis really, really with a run on George Russell here around the outside of turn 1. He's going to get it done. Lewis Hamilton into 4th. Relegates George Russell back to 5th. So George, he's done well. Done very, very well to hold on this long, but just that's about all he's got in that car. And that's Checo Perez ahead of them. Already a lap down. Fuck. Brutal. So there's a replay. Lawson and Colapinto going side by side. Ooh, a big chunk taken out of Liam Lawson's front wing there. Did he really have to fight him like that? They're not even in the points. So Liam goes to the inside to cover. Colapinto just comes around the outside. Lawson's run it really wide there. Colapinto comes from sort of off the track back on it. I mean, okay, right. So here's what I was kind of getting at before, is Liam Lawson into the pits. So this is probably where the fastest lap will come into it too. And it looks like soft tyres yet, so they put on soft tyres. Probably nick a lap point from Lando Norris. And this way it doesn't even look sus the way that Ricciardo did it in Singapore. Now, yeah, race controls noted that from Colapinto as well. So he was kind of squeezed off the track, and then he's kind of come back onto it and just... Yeah. I mean, it's not the most elegant pass that you'll ever see. Not even close. It's a bit... How to say it? It's almost inevitable, these sorts of clashes, with the way that these guys have been racing each other lately. Where a lot of it is... I mean, they're really putting the squeeze on to defend a corner. You know, they have no qualms running somebody off the track and outside the track. Now, it wasn't always... It wasn't always the way of doing things, because you would have like grass or gravel or something right outside the track, and you could not do that. Essentially, you couldn't just keep your foot in it and run outside the lines of the track but still be able to hold position or hold speed and things like that. It was impossible before that. Mostly everywhere that you went. So that squeeze move was sort of very natural, because the car trying to make the move, or the car on the outside, would have to back off. They would have to concede the corner. There's been a real reluctance of drivers defending or attacking to concede a corner when they are being passed. There's a lot of debris on the racetrack there. That would be, I'm guessing, part of Lawson's front wing. Checo Perez watching on TV. So Checo Perez calling Liam Lawson an idiot, and he's saying that he can see him crashing on the big screen. So God bless you, Checo Perez. But that kind of snidey catty shit ain't gonna save your seat when you're running 15th in a fucking Red Bull. Now, 3 laps to go, including the one that we're on. Carlos Sainz still 6 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. So, send your energy, send your prayers. Come on, Carlos. Bring it home, buddy. Bring it home. One more win. One more win before you're thrown out to Williams, and then you probably never win again. Oh, come on, come on, come on. I was fucking stoked that he won this year. I was fucking stoked that I actually got to see it in person. I never thought I would actually get to see Carlos Sainz win in person. That was fucking brilliant. Fastest lap, Liam Lawson. There it is. Leclerc, boxer, fastest lap. Fuck off. Don't do this. Don't do this. I mean, Leclerc even has the window to do it, but you don't need the fastest... I mean, unless they just want Leclerc and Ferrari to have the point for fastest lap, which is probably what's going on, but... I mean, Lando's not getting it, which is, you know, probably good enough. Looks like Leclerc would even have a window to set that fastest lap too. And he is pitting, so here we go. Leclerc fastest lap incoming. So now working lap 7T. Perez box for fastest lap attempt. Okay, so this is why they're getting rid of that rule from next year. I mean, who cares? If they think that Checo is going to get the fastest lap with half of his floor missing and a hole in the side pod, I mean, this is about as rubbered in as a track gets, so that should help, but we'll see. We'll see. Because that Red Bull, as a base, should be faster than the V-Carb. Probably not faster than that Ferrari, especially if Leclerc's going for it. Final lap starts. Carlos Sainz across the line. And there's the Haas, so he's not even going to catch the Haas to lap him by the end of the race. But you know what? It doesn't even matter. Carlos Sainz, final lap, victory tour here. Watching just some assholes in the crowd clowning about. Get fucked. Give me Carlos. There he is. So Sainz, Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell is now 3 seconds behind. Lewis Hamilton in 5th, then Verstappen 6th, K-Mag 7th. So great drive from K-Mag actually. Piastri in 8th. Decent recovery for him after starting way near the back. There's Hulk actually getting a lap dumped on him in the end. Hulk in 9th. Gasly 10th, then Stroll, Colapinto, Ocon, Bottas, Joe, Lawson, who currently has the fastest lap, but we'll see if he gets to hold it. Then Checo Perez down in 17th. Checo and Leclerc both going for fastest lap. Carlos Sainz into the stadium. Ah, yes. Give it to me. Give it to me. Oh, baby. Leclerc fastest sector 1, so Leclerc's going to get this nailed. Carlos Sainz around the final corner. And wins. Absolutely fantastic. Oh. Fucking love to see it. Fucking love to see it. That's my boy right there. God damn it, yes. Ah. Now that, look at that. Maybe wearing red works. That is dynamite. That was a fucking great race from Carlos Sainz. Max Verstappen had a better start, and then he just got totally clowned on by Carlos Sainz after the restart into turn 1. Sainz never looked troubled after that. It was just like Leclerc did in Austin last time out. Never looked in danger. Leclerc fastest lap, bam, there it is. Carlos Sainz Senior there, Dakar winner, World Rally Championship winner, a living legend. God, just the racing pedigree in that family. It's like if Jos Verstappen was any good. Now Sergio Perez going for the fastest lap push. I think Checo is going for this personally to do just something for his home crowd here. Because he is finishing dead fucking last. Does Perez get it? He does not. He cannot get faster than that Ferrari with Charles Leclerc going full pelt in it because, well, let's face it, Checo Perez is not as quick as Leclerc, but also there's a lot of damage on that Red Bull. A lot of damage. Bit of radio for Carlos Sainz here. Oh, bless him. It's getting quite emotional there. Who knows? This could be the last win for Carlos Sainz, depending on how the rest of the season turns out. I mean, this is 2 wins in a row for Ferrari, which is fucking almost unheard of in the modern era. God, it gives me the right old shits that he's getting flicked for Lewis Hamilton next year. This is a man who does not deserve to lose that seat. This is a man who does not deserve to get thrown to fucking Williams next year. It is such a fucking tragedy. It is absolute horse shit. I am never going to get over that. Never going to get over it. Between Sainz and Leclerc, I think Ferrari had the perfect team. They were so complementary to and with each other. They could work well together. They each have great strengths, and as a whole, they have such a solid team. Working together, I think they could, as long as the car's up to it, they could be a world championship winning team, mate. They could be a world championship winning team, and to bring Lewis Hamilton into this, to split this up, I mean, I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm not sure what Lewis brings to Ferrari is anything. Oh, look at him. Fucking legend. Good work, Carlos. Absolutely amazing. I'm not sure Lewis can bring anything extra to Ferrari. I think Lewis is a phenomenal driver. I think he's a world champion for a reason. He's got more than 100 wins for a reason. It's all of that. I don't think Lewis brings anything extra to this team that they don't already have between these two. I just don't see it. I don't see it. Lewis aged 40, bringing something here. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's all part of the intrigue of next season, exactly how this team dynamic is going to work. In fact, next season is going to be, it's going on about this last week, next week season is going to be absolutely fascinating. The dynamic between the McLaren guys, the Mercedes guys, the Ferraris now, even the Williams, the Red Bulls as well, is going to be a fascinating season. Really fascinating. But you know what? I'm going to go back. I'm going to go smoke my copium in a little bit. I'll just enjoy this for now. Carlos Sainz necking a bit of water. Drink of champions right there. What a fucking legend. Absolute certified stamped sick cunt. Fucking brilliant. Absolutely loving that. So you know what? My week is made. It's an early start, and I hate this time of year because it's just zero sleep to see these fucking races so early in the morning. But my god, this is just absolutely fantastic. Phenomenal. Carlos Sainz, well done. Brilliant stuff. So anyway, let's wrap this shit up, shall we? Because the race is fucking over. So Sainz, Norris, Leclerc, Hamilton in fourth, 44 seconds behind Carlos Sainz. Oh, that's a big gap for Mercedes. I know they spent half the race fighting each other, but that's a big gap for Mercedes to try to pull back. Russell fifth, Verstappen sixth in the end after his penalties and all of his silly buggery, and then Kevin Magnussen seventh. So amazing by Kevin Magnussen, actually. That's a great fit. Is that Mark Genet doing the interviews? Why not? So K-Mag seventh, fantastic. Probably K-Mag's race of the season. Seventh place. Great, solid bit of points. Again for Haas. Piastri in eighth, which is an okay, not spectacular, but a pretty decent recovery, considering he started right near the back. And then Hulkenberg ninth. So double points again for Haas. Well done. I mean, they've absolutely come alive the past few races, haven't they? They are just really on it. And then Gasly, final point in 10. Well done, Pierre. He actually got it done. So another point for Pierre Gasly, another point for Alpine. I'm not sure it's really going to do much for them in Constructors' Championship, getting 1 point. But it's something. So well done to them. Then Stroll 11th, Colapinto in 12th. Ocon 13th after starting from the pit lane. Bottas 14th, Joe 15th, and then Lawson 16th after that late clash with Colapinto, and then Checo Perez dead last, 17th. Fucking hell. Well, we'll see how much longer Checo Perez is going to last in that seat. I don't think he's going to lose before the end of the season, but I still don't think we're going to see him back next season. So less than 50 points now, less than 2 wins between Verstappen and Lando Norris. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this wash up comes out about Max and his racing. So Norris, I think, is just all smiles because second place after all of that is actually a very decent return for Lando Norris. I think it's bad news for Max, actually, that he's getting second and not third. The only positive for Max, I think, is that Charles Leclerc ended up getting the fastest lap point. But like I was saying in Hungary, if it comes down to, especially with the way that Lando's eking into this, if he does this a few more times, well, he's only got 4 races left to do it. 4 races, 2 sprints, so not a whole lot of time to get it done. However, he's got to get something done quick, and he needs really Max to DNF. I mean, ideally he'd need Max to DNF a couple of times, and he needs to win everything that's going from here on out. He needs to win Vegas, he needs to win Brazil, needs to win Qatar, and just see what he can make out of Abu Dhabi, because like I was saying in Hungary, when they gave Piastri the win, when they told Lando to move aside, if you're serious about a championship, keep Lando ahead, because 7 points at the end is what it could come down to. If he loses by 3 or 4 points, bam, that's it right there. That's it. So we'll see. We'll see. To my money, I think Verstappen's still going to win this championship, but we'll see. Carlos, fucking legend. Love that guy. Love him. So, in the end, what should we say? I'd say, how many stars is this race? 5 out of 5 for Carlos Sainz winning. Absolutely 5 out of 5 for the winner. Oh, bless. He's loving it. Realistically, this race, what would we say? 3 stars? Decent. It was a decent race. It was fun. A lot of fun going on. The Mercedes battles was fun. Verstappen's... Oh, bless Carlos. Verstappen's racing was very interesting and fun until he ended up getting cock-muzzled by those penalties, and just basically it was a recovery from there. Piastri was pretty fun to watch. A lot of decent little battles. A little bit of a wash-up after this. And if you're a Checo fan, it's just pure suffering again and again. And Brazil next week. Next weekend. Sprint race as well. Another early start. Fuck. Whatevs, you know. This is a good season, honestly. I think overall this has been a very good season, and next week is going to be very interesting as well, because Brazil always brings good action. It always promotes good racing, because it's a great little track that they got down there in Sao Paulo. It's a great track. Usually the races are absolutely fantastic, so I'm expecting like a 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. Who knows what we'll get, but on the current form, it should be really great. And honestly, I have no idea who's going to win. Maybe Max will get it done again, finally. Maybe it'll be Carlos again. Maybe it'll be Leclerc. Could well be Norris. We could have a surprise. Mercedes always runs well there. For whatever reason, they just tend to get it done. Could Checo win? Probably not. But we'll see. Could even be Piastri. A lot of fun. A lot of fun coming up next week. For the sprint race, which will be Saturday night, Sunday morning at some god-awful time, and then the race itself Monday morning at another god-awful time, but I will be here to talk absolute bollocks the entire time while it's running. Thank you everybody for watching. I think we'll wave the checkers on this one there. Thank you everyone for watching. Whoever you are, whoever you may be. I hope you enjoyed Carlos Sainz's win at number 2 as much as me. Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I don't really have anything else. I think we've kind of run through everything here. So, yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I will be back next week, and I will see you then.